everybody. Thank you for being here. We're back with 50-something Love. You know, this is the podcast for all things of interest to women over 50. We have a lot of topics here that we talk about, and I'm so grateful you're here and for listening. We have another really juicy topic today, and it's about money and women. Doesn't that sound exciting? Money and women. Who doesn't want more of it? So, just as a reminder, we drop Wednesdays at midnight. Please subscribe, follow, leave a review. Let me know if there's something that you would like to discuss because I am wide open, although it may be a couple of months before it shows up. So, my name is Diane Brandon Moody. I'm a dating coach for singles over 50. If this dating world is baffling you at age 50 because your spouse died or because you're in a divorce and you haven't dated in a while and you're just like, what do I do? I don't even know what to do. I gotcha. As I've said before, I got married for the first time at age 58. So I finally learned how to navigate the world of dating, online apps, and actually just meeting out in the real world. So when those apps get too much, you can go to my website, dianebrandonmoody.com. I have a free guide, 50 places to meet other singles over 50. It's free, download it, it'll give you some ideas. So today, I am absolutely very excited to be talking with Ellen Yale, who is a coach for women who have been in a coach for women and money. Let me put it that way. For women and money. And that's a big, wide topic. So I think it's a juicy topic because who doesn't want more money in this world, like I said. So, and we'll also going to get to that perennial conversation of who pays on dates. Yikes. Is that a yikes or a yum? It's kind of funny because it's always discussed in every Facebook group I'm in. So welcome, Ellen. I'm so happy that you're
Thank
here.
you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Would you tell us all about you?
Oh, about me. Well, I think you just did such a great summary, which is I work with women and all of their thoughts and beliefs and challenges about money. And as your specialty just plays right into it because involves dating and men a lot of the times or partners and how to balance that power and the values involved with it.
Great. That is so delicious. I love this topic. It's great.
It's so great we can talk about it because I think that's one of the big challenges is it's taboo in our culture to talk about money. And so if we can do that in relationship to something specific like going out dating, I think that really it just gets our foot in the door to talk about money in some ways and to think about it and to think about how to talk about it. And then I think that really empowers women because the men are spending more time talking about money than the women are. So I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I was brought up with the idea that we just don't talk about money.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about how much we have. We don't talk about how much we don't have. It's just a rude topic. So, what are some of the challenges besides the juicy dating topic that women come to you for? What are some of those challenges?
Most of the time, people bother to seek out a coach when they feel like they don't have enough money, when they feel like they might make a mistake with their money. And really, those two are the biggest baskets. They don't feel confident because they haven't been talking about money. They haven't been raised with the rules. There is no, talk around I'm trying to think where women might hang out around the Starbucks.
Yeah.
Chatting about money, whereas the men do. And I actually grew up in a family that talked about money quite a bit. My dad was a banker his whole life. But I think it's fascinating that we never knew how much money he made. Like that was taboo. And we got the message, even though no one said it, we got the message to never ask about it. I would be more likely to ask my parents about their sex life than I would be about how much money they had or how much money they made.
Wow. Well,
But
I don't know which was the more forbidden topic in our house. Both of them would be like, don't ask, don't tell in that regard. I know my father was an entrepreneur when I was very young, and he owned an aircraft insurance agency, and I had customers all over the state of Texas and surrounding states. And I didn't know this till much later. He actually was worth about $1 million at one time, and this was in the '60s when $1 million was different. I didn't know it at the time, but my dad was also born 2 days before the great stock market crash in '29. He was literally born 2 days before that happened. So his whole young life was quite painful around the topic of money. They just didn't have it. Like many, many, many people in the country, they just didn't have it. And they worked really hard for every dime. So my poor dad would act like you were, wanting to shoot his mother every time you asked for $5 or something. Like it was painful for him. He died 18 years ago. We loved him. He was a great man. And, he did a lot of things very right, was more involved in childcare than most dads at that time. But that was one area where I didn't get a really good education because it was just such a painful topic to him. And he ended up losing it. Not just once, but several times. He ended up making a lot and then losing it. So I wish he had still been alive in the time when it was okay to talk about how that happens. So that's kind of my experience. And so there are times when I've made a lot and I've given it all away. So I'm still learning myself.
well, and a lot of that self-judgment, like when you talk about your dad, to me, the big question we can ask ourselves is, what are you making that mean? So the reason he wasn't talking about it, it sounds like it could be because he was embarrassed about losing a lot of money, or who knows what the emotion was that went along with it.
Absolutely. And it was at the time masculinity, was so much about the achievement. It still is. There's a lot of achievement in there. And to achieve something is a reason to be proud, but losing it was, he probably had great shame about it. I never asked him, but I bet there was some shame involved that, like how could he let that happen? Which he didn't. It was actually done to him, but still that stuff follows along. But anyway, I
Well,
just thought I'd interject. That was, kind of our upbringing, which we make jokes about to this day. But my poor dad, other than that, he was a great dad.
well, let me ask you, you said you've made a lot of money and then given it away. What are you making that mean?
Well, I think for myself, when I have money, I like to be generous with it to other people, other causes, other projects. I may not be really in touch with things I need in my business, and money's the fastest way to solve it. So I may spend it. I have learned a whole lot in that, but it wasn't that long ago that I looked at my dad and I looked at myself and went, now I see where that's coming from.
Yeah.
It's like oh gosh, I wish, I
Yeah.
thought I had moved on from that.
Well, I find it, the reason I work with people and their money is it is so fascinating because it's such a mirror to what we believe and what we value. And money isn't a real thing because it's
Right.
just it when it used to be even dollars, which weren't real things. It wasn't really worth a dollar. Now it's just zeros and ones on a computer. I mean, it's even less
Hmm.
of a thing. It just stands for something that we believe it to be. It's an exchange of energy. And that's why it's so fascinating to see, what people do with their money. Are they saving it? Are they spending it? Are they giving it? Are they telling people they're giving it? Are they telling people how much they have? In what ways are they doing that? Because it really reveals so much about what you think, what you value, and how you view power in the world without actually having to talk about any of those subjects.
That is fascinating. I love that.
And
So,
that,
how would you suggest somebody move on? I mean, we can use me as an example in this scenario, or if you have somebody else that you can talk about. I know we value privacy for our clients, but if there's any topic, like if somebody presented with this in your coaching, how would you work with them?
I'm not sure I'm quite getting the example.
If I were your, let me say, if I were your client and I came presenting this issue, what would we talk about further?
You mean dating and money?
We're going to get to dating in just a
Okay.
second, but I mean, like, if I came to you saying, this is my history
hmm
and this is also what I do, how would you discuss that with me as your client?
Well, depends what the challenge is because, there's one of the things I believe is that there is nothing that society can tell us about money because everyone has some view about money. And a lot of what we do and the pressures we feel and the pressures we put on ourselves are because of what society has told us about money. Like
True.
that it's a failure to not have it or to, in your dad's case, to lose it. He
Mm-hmm.
probably felt failure involved in that. And,
Mm-hmm.
but there would be, look at Gandhi. He tried to give all his money away and kept getting more because people were attracted to that. So for
Mm-hmm.
Gandhi, not having money was a good thing. For most American men, having a lot of money is a good thing and losing is a bad thing. But that's all societal.
Mm.
And so that's where, when you ask yourself the question, what am I making that mean? That can help give you a glimpse of what the rules are that society has given you about money. And I just want to suggest in regular life or in dating life that there really are no rules. We just think there are rules. Uh,
Ah,
Now, there are laws, sure. I mean, you can't steal money, but as well,
good.
people have. I mean,
People
anything's
haven't gotten
possible.
away with it, but yeah, I get it.
But if you can take a look at whatever it is, the pain you're feeling about the money, then whatever you're making that mean is actually what's causing the pain because money isn't a real thing. It's
Mm.
also really fascinating when I start working with someone is to look to see what they value because a lot of times what we think we value isn't what we really value. But I used to use the example of, look at your checkbook. Well, we don't carry checkbooks anymore. So look at your credit card statement or your Venmo or your balance on your online account to see what you really value. Are you really putting your money?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Because
That's important. I don't
that's
know that
where
I've ever really, I mean, I've heard of the exercise, like, to get real about what you're spending and where, but I've never heard it put in the way before that's like where you're putting your money is what you're valuing. That's
Mhm.
that's a really good thing to ask yourself.
The other thing I
I
love to do with people right at the beginning as I start working with them is we keep a log of what they spend, but we don't track the money. What we're tracking is how they feel when they spend money or make money.
mm, wow, that's good.
So, one I love is like when you put gas in your car, how does that make you feel? You're going to be putting gas in the car because you want to get to work the next day. But do you feel like, oh, these gas prices, they're going up? I'm going, I'm poor. I can't put any more in here. Or are you saying to yourself, wow, isn't it incredible that I have a job in a country where I can just fill up with as much gas as I need to and put it on my credit card? Like, I'm
Mm,
so rich. I have this ability to go wherever I want, whenever I want to. So
that is a great exercise.
one feels really icky and one feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the interesting thing to track. Is like, how are you feeling about your money? How can you make it so that everything you spend on feels like aligns with your value and feels as good as possible? Because you have so much money and you're going to spend it anyway. And then usually the better you feel about money, the more money you attract to yourself.
That is great. I love that. So let's get to that topic that I've been promising. That's a big topic
Mm,
in my world.
yeah.
And that is who pays for dates? Maybe the first date or continuing paying. I will tell you that there are some very absolute indefinite viewpoints on this with most of the people that I talk to. So I would love to hear your take on it.
Well, what do you think, Diane? I know that you've talked about your now husband. He paid on the first date and you liked that.
I did like it. I felt like it was special. He took me to dinner and it was a nice dinner. And I mean, not grand, not hugely expensive, but it was a nice place. He had a rose for me. We had some wine. And in the early days, he insisted on paying for everything and even got annoyed with me if I suggested I'd love to get this time. He even got kind of annoyed because I think what he was hearing was you can't afford all this, which was not in
Mm,
my world at all. I was just, I know that there are men who get irritated if the woman never offers. So I was offering. And that went on for quite a while in our relationship that he was paying. And frankly, I loved it. I felt very good that I was that important to him.
mm.
Um, I didn't have a rule about it could only be the man who pays or I'm ditching him or anything like that. That wasn't my rule. But the honest truth is, I did feel very special to him when he did that. So,
So that's what you were making it mean, that you were
yeah,
important and you were special.
yeah,
And
it felt that way.
I'm sure the way he did it helped you feel that way too.
Mm-hmm. Was very old school Southern gentleman behavior.
So how would you have felt if it wasn't that way where he paid?
I don't think I would have been horrified or anything like some of the women I hear about or how they express it, that they're just horrified that a man makes them pay or pay half or something like that. I would say it probably would have felt a little less special, but I mean, I had the capability of being able to share. I could have, I wouldn't have been mad, but it probably would have felt a little less special.
Mhm.
Yeah.
See, I just think it's the whole subject is so fascinating because what it really does is show you how you yourself, what your values are, and what you think the power balance is of money. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think this subject comes into play with, some people could have someone pay and they feel very special and important, and someone else could have someone pay, or the man pay, and you feel like they're trying to buy you.
Mm-hmm.
Like now they get to decide what happens in the relationship or on that date, or just it makes them feel better and more powerful and better than you. So it's really about the person receiving as well as the person who's paying, that it's just a mirror, because it's the
Mm-hmm.
society that individual person has grown up in and what they're making it mean, because it really doesn't mean anything.
Right. It is a neutral action. Some of the
Exactly.
beliefs that I hear bandied about are if the man pays, we'll talk from the woman's perspective first, but if the man's paying, she may feel entitled. Like, of course he pays. That's the way it works. He's supposed to
Mhm.
pay. She may feel like, oh my God, now he's going to be expecting sex. And
Mhm.
I'm not ready for that. And so if I pay, that means he doesn't get to have the expectation. She might be delighted. She might feel I'm equal, he's equal, and therefore we go half. Um, so, those are three of the most popular beliefs I have that I hear about is one of those three. From the men, some of the beliefs I hear are, well, of course, I'm a gentleman and I expect to pay. That's what gentlemen do. Um, there could be guys that are super angry. Dating is expensive. I can't take every woman out to dinner. And besides, she makes more now these days and she should pay half. Or I'm happy to pay in the beginning, but after the first couple of dates, she should offer to pay. Those are the three most common I see among men.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's a negotiation. As a dating coach, you sort of get to do what you want and find the guy who matches what you want. But keeping in mind, you're also disqualifying a huge round of people if you're very rigid in that belief.
Yeah.
So if you're very rigid about he pays, forget it, that's it, then you've negated a whole bunch of guys and
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. So if it's that important to you, you can do that. It just may take you longer. So,
and one thing I suggest is that before that first date, text him and ask him what's going to happen at the end when the check comes. Like, you might say something like, can't wait for Saturday. Just wondering whether you want to split the check or you like to have one person pay it and then take turns after that point. Just wanted to feel you out so that we wouldn't be struggling, reaching for the
that's a
check
great
at the end
idea.
of the date. And that
That's
we
a
get to
great
find
idea.
out more about them too. And they actually then maybe have to stop and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And see what they see what each you believe. And like you say, it's part of this whole dance is to see what you want out of a relationship. And it might be something different than you go into it with. So I love the flexibility you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know some guys expect to pay, but they really appreciate the offer.
Mm.
We call it the fake purse grab. Here, I can help. No, put your money away. Okay. But they do expect at least the offer. And of course it depends on if it's a coffee date or a nicer dinner date or, something simple and inexpensive versus something more expensive. I felt
Yeah.
like dinner was a great first date simply because I felt like it was a better chance of getting to know someone and feeling special and being able to chat longer. Those coffee dates to me just seem like they meet and greet, you look at each other, look each other up and down, see if they look like their picture, and I'm out. And there's no chance there. And
You know,
sometimes there shouldn't be. If the pictures are horrible and all that, then maybe there shouldn't be a chance. But it just seems to be part of the most modern dating world that I didn't love at all. It just, and it wasn't because I wanted somebody spending money on me. That wasn't the point.
right. Yeah.
That did make me feel good. The point was, how can romance develop if all you're doing is meeting in a Starbucks and doing one of these look up and down, up and down? Yeah, I guess you'll do. It was just transactional to me.
I always liked lunch because then you have a certain period of time where you got to then get onto your next thing. And so if it wasn't going so well, there was an end time involved. Whereas
Yeah,
dinner could go on forever before you
that's
can
true,
extricate yourself from the situation. But
which is a great idea.
the same thing. And, if I had written down how I wanted it to go before I met my husband, he would not have fit any sort of money profile I would have given.
Mm,
But the thing is that we have similar values.
right.
We just don't handle money the same way.
Mm,
So we still don't, but we have the same values or very similar values, and we respect each other. I think the
that's very important.
respect makes all the difference because you can be very different and we sort of enjoy each other's difference,
That's great.
but we respect where the other person's come from because we gave them enough space, enough room to really learn who they really are. Because we don't tend to talk about, therefore we don't really have great clarity on what money means to us and how we want to use it.
Yeah, that's important. Those discussions are important. And not necessarily on a first date, but sooner rather than later, I think it kind of kills the mood if you're interviewing each other on the first date. But certainly before you get very far, you have to figure out if you're on the same page or not, at least
Yeah.
value wise. Yeah.
And you can find out some even on the first date just by asking certain questions like, do you have any exciting trips planned coming up soon?
Mm,
And to
that's
hear
a good
about
one.
that, are they going, to the local park or are they going to Milan? It gives you
Yeah.
a little hint. And that's another one that's sort of interesting. Do you want to use your money for experiences or for things?
Right.
So that's something you can get just by, talking. But again, if you do it consciously, you can probably get more information earlier on. But we're doing that whether we think about that we're talking about money or not.
That's true. That is true. It does come up in ways that you're not expecting. This has been a fascinating conversation, Ellen. Thank you so much. I do have some rapid fire questions for you, if that's
All
cool.
right.
You ready?
I'm hanging on to my seat.
Okay. How did you meet your husband?
It was a party with 20 ballet dancers and me. And I'm not a ballet dancer, as you can see, but the listeners can't.
That's interesting. Was he a dancer?
No, he had a warehouse with his other artist friends, and that had the other half of the building that the dance company had. And my
Oh,
roommate was one of the dancers. And so we were going out somewhere afterwards to have dinner. And she said, "Oh, come on with me. All the dancers know you. You just don't know that the people who are inviting us." So so I met him and never dreamt that he did not fit my little checklist at all, but turned out to be the perfect one for me.
thank you for saying that. I keep telling people lists, too many things on the list, and it just, it becomes transactional. So sometimes
Yeah.
it works out without your list. Where is your favorite place to travel?
Mm. Well, the next trip I want to take, not that I've been there before, but I love to snorkel. And so I've been wanting to go on this trip to Tonga and snorkel and dive with the whales there.
Wow, that sounds so cool. I love
I,
traveling. We're going to the Big Island in Hawaii sometime. I have a friend with a guest house there who's invited us anytime to stay as long as we want. So we're thinking we're going to do that. I don't know when yet, but and then we're going to make it to Ireland sometime
hmm,
because I've never been there. I've been to the UK many times, but not the Republic of Ireland. So that's cool. So,
well, they
what's
got
your favorite curse word?
um dadgummit. No. I haven't thought about favorite, but most used is probably shit.
All right, cool. Who's your celebrity crush?
Oh, well, it was JFK Jr.,
Oh,
but
yeah. Gosh, a finer man never existed, did he?
we're on the same page. We'll leave it there.
Wow. Okay. And what's your favorite food?
Favorite food, pierogies.
Yum. And your guilty pleasure?
Hmm. You know, I think I'm so open with everything that I don't feel any guilt about things that a lot of probably people think I should feel guilty about.
All right. Well, that's a good answer. So, if people want to learn more about you and the work you do, where can they find you?
They can find me at my website. It's ellenyale.com, ELLENYALE.com. And I've got a free money personality quiz that I think your listeners might enjoy. So as they
Cool.
learn their style, their money style, it's just 6 quick questions. But I think that helps you get clarity about yourself. So then you can go into a relationship with more clarity about how you relate to money and how you spend it, how you value it, and how you use it as power.
That is spectacular. I love it. Thank you so much for being our guest today. I could have talked this topic all day long, but I promise the listeners I won't talk longer than your average dog walk. So we had to end it before I was done talking, but I look forward to maybe doing it again. So, listeners, check out my website again, dianebrandonmoody.com, for that free guide on 50 places to meet singles over 50. And thanks to our guest, Ellen Yale. Join us again next week on 50 Something Love. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, send in suggestions of people you'd like to hear from. And I'll sign off with saying, go drink some champagne for no reason at all. See you soon. Bye.